of keeping the promise. My name is Gene Hickok. I serve on the board of St. Andrews. And one of the reasons we wanted to do this is to show people what a difference the school is making, even though it is challenged, like everyone these days, by the virus. The first session we had talked about the academic program, and Kate O'Donnell gave us a presentation on how the school has adjusted teaching and learning so that every child, every family, and everyone at St. Andrews remains engaged. And the results are very promising, very promising. The second program was all about some of the people. And last week we met with some teachers who shared with us their observations, their satisfactions, some of their frustrations during this difficult time with the technology. What was really interesting was how they all felt they're better teachers now, having gone through this experience, which I think is fantastic. Today, we're focusing on perpetuity, which is a fancy word for talking about the permanence of St. Andrews and the future of St. Andrews. We want to talk a little bit about how not only it makes a difference now, but will continue to make a difference in the future. And we have lots of evidence to demonstrate that. But before we do any of that, I want to introduce Cindy, the leader of the school, to say a few words. Cindy?
Good afternoon. Thanks, Gene. I'm Cindy Weldon Lassiter. I'm the head of school. I want to thank you for joining us for our last live chat in this three-part series, like Gene mentioned. Today's presentation highlights family engagement, which is one of the 6 fundamentals that makes up our whole child approach. I would say that the homeschool partnership is key in a successful program because we view our families as the first teachers and our relationships with them are imperative. So I want to welcome our principal, Kate O'Donnell. She's going to introduce our panel and she's going to get us started.
Thanks so much, Cindy. Hi, everybody. To those of you who have been with us in the last few sessions, welcome back. It is wonderful to see you. And I am thrilled to introduce you to 3 very special people today. On the left, you will see Mrs. Berry, our 2nd grade teacher extraordinaire. In the middle, you will see the one, the only, Miss Zakia Hunter. And Zakia, will you tell us all, please, what zone you're in today?
Because I woke up and I felt good because I knew we would have to do the Zoom call. So at first I was cranky, but then I got up and I brushed my teeth and washed my face.
And that helped you get into the green zone?
Because I got water in my eye.
It happens sometimes. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. And Ms. Thompson, Zakia's mom, is here with us today. Ms. Thompson, thank you so much. Friends, Ms. Thompson is here on her lunch break, so we are particularly honored that you were able to make this time with us today. And I'd like to start, Ms. Thompson, with a question for you. Will you tell us a little bit, please, about your experience with distance learning at home for you and Zakia?
It was a great experience. It was different because I got to be hands-on with Zakia. I was able to see firsthand her strengths and weaknesses in all subjects. I was able to just see her in every aspect. I was able to see what frustrated her, what made her think, what made her feel like, no, I can't do this, or, oh, I'm excited to do this. I like that the way the boards were, they were very concise and right to the point. Zakia was able to log on a lot of the times on her own, and she would get busy right away. But I really had no troubles. It was very self-guided. I love the fact that although we didn't physically see her teachers, they got on and they led the instructions. Like, this is what you do. They gave us great examples, and they really talked to us to allow us to know that we're here to support you. We're here to guide you. Whenever you need anything, let us know. So it was great. I think sometimes I kind of like enjoyed it more than Zakia. Like I would get up like, hey, we have to go to morning meeting. And she's just like, oh, I'm not ready. But overall, it was a fantastic experience. And I would say I gained a teacher experience. I don't have the license, but I gained some teacher experience.
Thank you.
You learned a lot.
Let me, if I could, Zakia, this is Jean again. Tell me about learning with, is it Flat Mrs. Berry?
It was fun because I felt comfortable when she was around at school, and when Flat Mrs. Berry came in the middle, I didn't know what to do, and then I saw her, and I just felt more comfortable, and like I was in the classroom, but I was in my house.
So it was kind of like having your teacher with you, right?
Yeah,
And the thing is, you could take her everywhere you wanted to go, correct?
yeah,
Can't really do with your school, so you could take her with your mom to the store or everything. Did you talk to Flat Mrs. Berry?
mhm,
Did you? She didn't talk back, did she?
no. I almost slept with her. Well, I did, but she was on my mom's bed.
Gotcha. Tell me, you mentioned when we were preparing for this, learning math, arithmetic, and some of the materials you've been using and have been using. Tell me a bit about that, Zakia, and also your mom, if you could.
So one of the activities that we particularly liked, it was a activity where you round up or round down and you use a deck of cards. And Zakia is she doesn't like math, to be honest. She's very, I guess,
Sensitive.
yeah, when it comes to math. And she is like, she's very hard on herself when it came to math. So when this particular activity was brought up on one of the Grace boards, we were excited because it was a different approach. She didn't have to use her fingers to count. She didn't have to draw like little tick marks to, add and subtract. It was basically let's get these cards, let's put them together, and let's see, do we round up, do we round down, what do we do? So that really helped. I want to say it helped enhance her skills when it came to rounding up and rounding down. And I think moving forward, I would like to do more hands-on activities with her at home because it allows me to help her and it allows me to see, okay, what areas specifically we need to work on. So how would you rate it, Z? Was that a fun?
It was fun, but my favorite activity was Spanish and library because usually I don't really like doing Spanish because I don't feel that confident. But when I was right here, I was confident because like at school people were like beside me and watching me, and I was scared because I thought they were gonna judge me that I didn't know some of the answers.
Well, I took Spanish when I was in school. It's muy bueno. I really enjoyed it. It was interesting hearing you talk about the way you worked with your daughter on math. You're a full partner in the learning process, which is again one of the benefits of this challenging time. People tend to take their kids to school and their kids go to school and then they come home and parents are involved before and after, but not during the school day there. And you're a full partner all the time. And so you get a better sense of both how your child learns and how best to help her learn. I think it's fantastic. I wanted to spend a second with Mrs. Berry, if you're there. I guess the question I have for you is, what does all this tell you about going forward in terms of how to prepare for next year's second graders and whatever experience might be down the pike?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, I think that moving forward, being able to talk to parents in a more candid type of way, outside of the structured family meetings and phone calls, but more similar to what Ms. Thompson and I have been able to do and other parents have been able to do during this time, is just kind of check in and see what they're seeing on their end, more so than me telling them what I'm seeing. So checking in and seeing, what is it looking like for you guys with your child at home? If we are doing distance learning in the future or whatever it might look like, this can go across all spectrums, being able to communicate in a more open way, in a way that really does highlight the partnership that we have at home, and not compartmentalize the school classroom and the home, but merge those better together. And so I think being able to express to parents what I'm noticing in the classroom, and then also being able to see how that translates to home and being able to pair those together is something that we have done and tried to do in the past. But I think this experience has highlighted how important it is and how crucial it is for the students to feel successful, for the parents and teachers to both have a full picture of what the child is thinking and how the child is learning. For example, with the cards, like what Mrs. Thompson was talking about, while I knew that that's important for students to have a more concrete approach to math, and while we do stations in the classroom that promote concrete learning and a more hands-on approach, it was so good for me to hear from Ms. Thompson that that was very important to Zakiya and really bolstered her self-confidence in math and things like that, that I might not have caught on to those little nuances of Zakiya's learning. So being able to speak with the parents and just communicate in that type of way, in such a candid way, is something that I absolutely want to continue and have seen such great fruits from during this process as well.
Yeah, it really is a partnership in the truest sense. You talk about not wanting to compartmentalize. That's what we tend to do. It's sort of human nature. Education's sort of the responsibility of the school and the teacher, and raising a child is the responsibility of the parent. In essence, all of us have a responsibility for all of it. Sounds kind of corny, but I've always said that the school is supposed to be the heart of the community. The only way that heart stays healthy is for the community to make sure it's a big part of the school. And this is what's doing it. And ironically, it's bringing people even closer together at a time when we're asked to stay farther apart. I think it's magnificent. Zakiya, what happens next year? You're going into third grade, is that correct?
Are you going to third grade?
I'm going to third grade.
Are you excited?
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to? What do you think you like about third grade?
I think I'm looking forward to meeting a new teacher and probably getting to know different people and learning new things.
It's going to be an exciting time. Going back to school and meeting new people and learning new things, but you'll probably still have to speak some Spanish, won't you? I wanted to ask your mom again, how difficult has it been in terms of balancing your schedule to be able to do what you have to do with your job and your home and your daughter and everything else?
That is a great question. And honestly, it has not been hard. So I work for a Department of Corrections, but I'm on the administrative side. So I work 3 days and then I have like the rest of the week off. So like this week I work Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then I have Thursday and Friday off. So when I'm away at work, like I said, Zakiya was very hands-on. She knew how to log in to do her work. She knew, if she needed help, it was just like, I'm gonna wait for mommy. And then when I got off, I was just like, okay, let's go over with what you did. But I allowed Z to make mistakes. I allowed us to be very transparent in the things that we did because I wanted her teachers to know still where her weaknesses were, even though we were at home. So it was some things where I knew the answer was wrong, but I'm like, Zakia did this. So we're going to turn it in this way. And we're going to allow the teacher to explain to us what was wrong so she can go back and do it. So overall, it was not hard at all. I think it was easiest because I did have time from work and I was able, on my days off, I was able to really sit with Zakia and commit to her. But I think I just know my child very well. So I knew kind of what she would struggle in and I knew what would be easiest. So when I got off, I was just like, so you didn't do math today, did you? And she's like, no, I just wanted to wait for you. So I think it's just being very transparent, just understanding your child's needs and what they need help in, and just being communicative and like it really expressing to teachers like, okay, my daughter is really having trouble in math. And, if there's any extra work you can send so we can practice math, that would be great. And that's kind of how I've always been with Zakia. We do not take education for granted. We don't take being at St. Andrews for granted because we worked hard to get here and we want to continue here. So I just think you just have to really understand what you and your child's needs are, communicate that to the staff, and just move forward. Do your best to put your best foot forward and keep going. And that's why I say I'm very appreciative. It was an amazing experience. Just seeing Zakia in her work. I mean, I know how she is, I know how she reacts, but just seeing her like in the zone. I remember Ms. Berry even telling me like her handwriting has gotten really better. And that's something I didn't really know because being at home, she didn't really write much. She would color and draw, but she never really wrote. So just seeing her handwriting progress as time went on, I was like, oh, I see what Mrs. Berry sees. So I think that was the best thing about it, like really just seeing your child the way the teachers see them.
Let me follow up with Ms. Berry. That last comment, to see my child the way her teacher sees her. What about you and Zakia and her mom in terms of you get to see them the way they see each other? Has that sort of impacted your approach to what you do?
Yes, absolutely. And when she said that, I was saying the same thing in my head. I was like, oh, well, I've enjoyed seeing Zakia the way that Ms. Thompson sees her, and true with the other students too. I love being able to hear the parents comment back through emails during the digital learning time, and even talk to some parents on the phone and kind of hear what they're saying about their student. And then me saying, oh my goodness, like that's what I'm seeing in the classroom as well. Or those are some of the strengths or some of the quirks that I'm seeing with your student as well. And just knowing that we have that shared understanding of their child makes it come so full circle and makes it really feel like you know the child as a whole and the family unit as a whole, and almost like you're part of that unit, which is what at St. Andrews we really push for, is having that family unit. So I feel like this has certainly allowed that to kind of come full circle where we're all hands-on with the child's learning. And the children feel that too, if they're getting that same message from home and from school that you can do it, we're holding you accountable, but we're also here to support you and to lift you up. I think that's made a world of difference. And also moving forward, being able to still be able to encourage the children by saying, yeah, your mom said that this was something that was a strength for you, or this is what we're going to be working on. So we're going to work on that at school as well, and vice versa. And being able to have that kind of transparency and that transient learning from home and the classroom, I think strengthens the child, strengthens our relationship with the family and the family with us. It just kind of allows us to serve the child the best that we can as a community. And so this experience has definitely, I think, shown that the more communication, the more just transparency that you have with each other, the stronger that bond can be for the child, and helps the child thrive and also be able to feel confident wherever they're at in whichever setting.
There's there's so many lessons we've learned in these three programs. But the one that keeps coming back to me is in this difficult time where family and friends and colleagues really matter more than ever. And at a time when we're being told we have to keep our distance, and we have to keep our distance, somehow, and it's not the technology, it's the people on the end of technology. We're closer now than ever before. What a wonderful lesson that is, not just for those of us at St. Andrews, but for everyone. If we would just take the time to recognize all the good things that are going on, I think we'd be better people. And I think you've demonstrated this, not just today, but throughout. I understand, is Shannon Harris here yet? I'm trying to find out if she is here and available.
Yes, Shannon has actually joined us.
Can I say hello to her?
Hello. Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Shannon is a member of the St. Andrews Board. She was on a panel discussion, gosh, it was a long time ago now, where we talked about leadership and education. And she's joined by her daughter, Karina Harris Robertson, who is a graduate of St. Andrews and is going to Cristo Rey, I think.
Yes.
In the fall. So first of all, welcome.
Thank you.
I'd love to hear from Karina about, now that she's much older, having gone to St. Andrews, and as you think back to your time at St. Andrews, what do you remember most?
Huh? What do you remember most about your time at St. Andrews? I remember my classmates, actually. I remember them the most. The classmates and the teachers. My difficulty with math. That's what I remember most.
Your difficulty with math? Is that what you said? I'm with you. I'm with you. You can ask my wife. I'm terrible at math. She does the checkbook. She manages the finances. Let me ask your mother something. You're on the board. You're a parent of a graduate.
Mhm.
Has time on the board, how is that reflective of your experience as a parent? And how has your experience as a parent helped you as a member of the board?
I think having the opportunity to have experienced St. Andrews for 5 years before I was even on the board, it gave me the chance to get to know the school and the community without any pretense. Because sometimes people will respond to you differently when they think that you have a certain position or you may be in a position. But I got to experience the beauty of St. Andrews as a parent, you know? And so I got to experience how much the teachers and the administration are really concerned about the students and the families. But then when I got to the board side, then I guess it kind of put everything together for me so I could see the bigger picture and the impact that the school really wants to have on the community. But I'm thankful that I had the opportunity to experience everything I did as a parent first, because there's experience behind everything that I can say on the board level. It's not something that I've heard, it's something that I've actually experienced myself. So I think it just blends all together better that way, because I've had the opportunity to do both.
Yeah, I can only imagine that coming to the board, having been a parent of a child who spent 5 years there, gives you a much better opportunity to understand everything.
Absolutely.
It's not just numbers on a budget or policies, it's the people that's behind everything in education, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
And for
Yep.
a lot of board members, and not just at St. Andrews, everywhere, school board,
Absolutely.
it's sort of It's the business end of things we have to worry about, whether we have enough money raised to keep the school going,
Mm-hmm.
problem with the boiler. And those are important issues, obviously.
Absolutely.
And all that is really a matter of families and students. That's the whole point of the school.
Yes.
So you bring that perspective and you help us make sure we're all grounded in that perspective as well. And that's fantastic. That's
Thank
fantastic.
you.
I want to ask all of you, well, let me get back to Karina first. Now, what are you looking forward to in your new school? What do you think will be the most interesting part of what you're going to be doing soon?
That's a hard question.
I only ask hard questions.
It's so true.
I guess meeting new people, meeting new concepts of different subjects that weren't taught back in the younger grades of school. Working, trying out new sports that I've also never tried out. So
That's good. It's always a little scary to go to a new school.
Mhm.
I'm sure it was scary when you left St. Andrews, and now you're going to go to a new one. But given how well you did at St. Andrews, given your fact that your mom's there with you, I think you're going to do great. I think it's just wonderful. I think it's just fantastic. Let me again ask anyone else who wants to join the conversation. This is toward the end of our sessions. One of the things we wanted to talk about is we have a mission for the whole child and the whole family. And we have a past, a rich history, 125 years. But one of the things we want to emphasize today is we also have a bright future. And that's important to remember, especially during difficult times. I guess I sound kind of corny, but if there's anything that really matters when we talk about schools and education, it is we're talking about shaping the future. And in front of us right now, we've seen one current student, one former student, one current teacher, one parent, and one past, well, still a parent, but also a board member. The fact is, we've seen something develop over time. We've actually seen the past, the present, and the future. And the technology makes it possible, but the people make it possible. So before we go much farther, I wanted to get Mrs. Berry back into the conversation. If you could wave a magic wand, this is not a fair question, but right now I'm the teacher, you're the student. If I could wave a magic wand, what would you attempt to do differently as you prepare for the next school year? And notice I'm talking about as you prepare for it, because obviously it takes a lot of time. So what do you think? Any thoughts?
That's a hard question, but I know those are the only questions you ask. I would probably say, if I could do anything differently moving forward, I think experience definitely is key in this, and having the experience that I've had this whole remote learning. I think knowing what has been successful and what has not been successful, I'd be able to reach the children a little, I would say more as an individual, and the families as individuals as well. I think I was able to do that better towards the end. So I think I would launch going into next year, seeing each family as an individual and seeing my class as individuals with their own story, their own history, their own concept of learning as they come in the classroom. And while I try to do that every year, I think this has really highlighted how important it is to know the whole story and know the whole family, and be intentional on getting to know the family and getting to know the students. And just being aware, whether it's from my kitchen or from my dining room, and how I'm planning their lessons and planning each individualized lesson for the student. And then also knowing how that is going to impact their family as well. Which families have parents who are able to sit down with them each day and go over the lessons with them, and which ones need to have it be a little more simplistic because the child is on their own and trying to navigate the courses and navigate just technology in general. So having more of a background on that. And then just in the classroom too, being able to support each student with the knowledge of who they are as an individual. And again, things that we try to do already, but this has really amplified the importance of that and really made me want to go forward in a way that is special to each child, and in a way when I plan that I'm thinking specifically about the child and not so much the whole cohort. And I think that will help the student feel more individualized and more supported, and also together feel like we're a team and that we're working towards the same purpose as well. Kind of a vague answer to your general one, but I think going forward, the experience I've had has definitely shaped my mindset and kind of given me a paradigm shift in how I'm going to approach the new year.
Yeah, it's not a vague answer at all. And I think you mentioned paradigm shift. Because we've had to go through this, we've become more self-conscious of what we do as a teacher, as a student, as a parent, because we have to take the time to think about it more. And there's always the great probability that once all this turmoil disappears, and it will, we'll go back to school. But the challenge is not to just go back to school and do what we used to do, but do what we have to do better. And that's what you just said, it seems to me, Ms. Mary, that you're going to be better. You're not going to just fall back into the old patterns. They were good patterns. You're going to be better because of this. I wanted to ask Shannon as well, as a board member at St. Andrews, with your daughter by your side, what would you encourage your colleagues on the board, and I'm one of them, to do based upon your time as a parent and your time as a board member, and putting the technology issue aside and putting the virus aside, just in terms of what message would you send your colleagues on the board?
I think I would say to try to take some time to have one-on-one conversations with families about the impact of the experience, about things that they wish maybe they had access to, about things that went well, and things they would like to see going forward. I think there's a different amount of information that's provided when you actually have relationship and you're actually able to have one-on-one conversations. Even if you can just identify one family per year to have a conversation with about what went well, what do you think needed to be improved on, how did you feel supported, was there anything else that you think would have made your experience better? And then being willing to take the conversation to whatever level needs to come next. I've met parents in the community who didn't know I was on the board, current parents, and I have those conversations with them and just talk to them about what their experience has been, and I'll share some of the things that I experienced as well. And those conversations are extremely important to have, especially with the people that you may not think have positive things to say. The difficult conversations are almost always most beneficial, I find. So I would encourage us to not shy away from the difficult conversations, because we're trying to build community and have long-lasting community impact. And the way you do that is to get in there and, you know, talk about the things that people don't want to hear sometimes.
Yeah. And it's important to have those, those conversations, not as presentations to the board, but conversations.
Yes.
And I think I will take that to heart as a board member and try to do more of that. I'm sure my colleagues that are watching and listening will as well. We're getting close to the end of our time. I do want to encourage anyone who's watching to send a chat if you have a question or an observation. I also want to make sure that Cindy and Kate get engaged in the conversation if you have any observations or questions. It is the last time we'll be doing this for a while. And it has been so instructive and so interesting. Now, I don't see Zakia and her mom there anymore, so I assume they left, correct? Okay. What I'm going to do now is make a summary of where we've been these last 3 sessions and then turn it over to Cindy. What we've attempted to do is tell a very important story. And the story is one of how enterprising people engaged in a school that has a mission and a history and a purpose have been able to find ways to fulfill that mission and to achieve that purpose. They've done it through technology. They've done it through energy, but they've done it primarily because of experience, because of heart, and because of caring. We've seen that in all 3 episodes. We've seen it in the academic program that was put together. We've seen it in the teachers. We've seen it in the parents, and we've seen it in the students. And it's a story that I wish more people could see and hear and learn, because it epitomizes what St. Andrews is all about. And it is my greatest wish that that story continue for many, many, many more years, and that many, many more people hear about it. So let me turn this over to the head of school, Cindy.
Thanks, Jean. When I took on my role as head of school 10 years ago, I had been in the elementary classroom for 15 years. And for me, this is where the magic was, in collaboration with my colleagues and with families. Our panel, I think, exemplifies one of the best parts of education, and that's the homeschool partnership. I hope today demonstrated how much richer a child's education can be when faculty and families build these authentic and trusting relationships, because it's in support of student learning. And I'm excited about the work that we get to do at our school. And I know in large part, similar to what you said, Jean, it's the support of donors in our community. I'm asking you to continue to invest in our program so we can continue to keep our promise to our students and to the families in our community. And I want to thank you for attending 1, 2, or 3 of our communications this past couple weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. I also want to say thank you to Kate, to all of our panelists, to the people who signed on to share the experience these past 3 weeks. And finally, I want to wish everyone great success when school starts in the fall, wherever they may be. Karina, good luck at the new school. I'm sure you'll be happy and very successful, in part because you went to St. Andrews and learned a lot there. So this will bring this to a close. Thanks to everyone, and please, please stay well. Bye-bye.